So how do you repair carpet seams? In this video, I'm going to break it down. What's good? It's Carpet Mike here from CarpetExpertBlueprint.com, and I know that's kind of vague because there's a million different kinds of carpet seam repairs. But in this video, we have a case where the hallway meets the bedroom, massive bubbling. So we're going to break the seam, go ahead and pull all that slack out and put everything back together so we're good to go. Now, the key to success in this is always using a sharp blade when taking the seams apart. And what I did here is I applied pressure on the bubble. It caused the seam to peak, and I could basically trace a line down the seam edge there to go ahead and split that tape in half. Now I got it overlapped. I see what I'm up against. I'm going to fold it back, and I'm going to pull that old tape off of the backing here. Now, take your time doing this, because if there's a lot of glue on that seam tape and you pull it, it could rip the carpet edge and give you a jagged, funky edge to work with. We don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and work this tape off of both pieces. And once that's off, we're going to gear up to put this thing back together. So let's go ahead and get this folded back. We're going to take a fresh blade again. We're going to go ahead and put a nice clean edge onto this piece here, because the last one, not only is it overlap, but it's a little janky when you take them apart. So you got to put a nice fresh clean edge on it to get seam success with making those things as invisible as possible. I'm going to finish cutting from edge to edge here. Slowly. You don't want to cause a big old hook on that there, and then next thing you know, you got a big gap you got to patch in, all kinds of ugly. So take your time on these. If you're new to this, you can put a straight edge on it, get it nice and clean that way, but if you got some skill, you can go ahead and freestyle it and be good to go. Next, I'm tracing out that seam edge. I have very little to work with here at this point, so I want to be careful. And once again, I'm going to say it a million times, brand new sharp blade on every single cut. So now we got that folded back. We're going to go ahead and lob off the clean edge here. And like I said, that was so super close. I'm basically just doing like a little fillet on this one here, just the slightest bit. Going to go ahead and continue cutting all the way across, looking for those little notches that I put into it. And once we get that lobbed off, we got to get this thing taped up, burnt back together, and make those bubbles disappear. So all that slack that was in there, we just removed all that. Now the edges are pretty well good to go. We're going to go ahead and... are we going to get that seam tape? Do we need to trim it a little more? We're going to trim it a little more. If you find that they're bumping into each other and you got a little bit of slack in there still, just remove that slack. You could always use the kicker to tap it together, but do not get crazy. If you cut too much, it's an absolute nightmare trying to get it back together. It's all about finesse, and you'll get it with time. Get the seam tape under there. Let's bring a seam iron into the picture and put this thing back together. Now, when you're doing restretches, repairs, anything like that that's got bubbles in the carpet, just know, even though it's flat now, that the carpet will show where those bubbles were at, because the nap takes form of those bubbles. But don't worry, it does come out. You either have to consistently vacuum, most people don't do that, or have it steam cleaned, and that'll kind of relax all the fibers and blend them back into place and make those lines disappear. So just keep that in mind. When you stretch it all out and you see a crazy line in your room still, it's just because the nap has taken form of what was there, but you can make that relax and go away. Now we're burning this back together. You know the routine already. Let that seam iron sit there for 8 to 10 seconds. Slide it an iron's length forward at a time. Blend those fibers back in. Do not push the fibers into the glue. Just make sure it's the backing going into the glue, and the backing is matching up from backing to backing. Tuck the sides of your door jambs. You get to the other end there. You're going to take your time pulling that iron out, and you want to do a little swoop action to it, I like to say, so that way you don't pull the seam tape or any seam glue and have that flop on top of these carpet fibers. Check it out here. Ready, set, swoop. When you do it like that, that'll keep the seam tape from flopping out and glue going everywhere. You just blend it in and you're good to go. As always, I truly appreciate you tuning into this. Thank you so much. Comment below with any questions, and I'll see you on the next video.